Waterfall, the CCW podcast.
Hello and welcome to Waterfall. It's the water saving podcast brought to you by CCW. That's the Consumer Council for Water. I'm Mike and I'm here with producer Tom. Hi, producer Tom.
Hi, I'm never involved first, so I appreciate that introduction.
I just thought I'd mix it up. And then, of course, there's Karen, the wonderful co-host. Hello, Karen. How are you?
I'm fine, Mike. Really looking forward to this episode.
Great. I mean, you are sounding chipper. It's just because off air we've been talking about gardening and water use. So stay listening. You know, we might have a future very exciting episode on that. But we have a great episode today because we're talking to Welsh Water, we're talking to Dŵr Cymru, we're talking to Pete O'Hanlon and Annie Lamb, and they're talking about the work they're doing in communities to help people who find themselves in vulnerable circumstances and helping them in all sorts of ways, but including saving water. So they're going to tell us all about what they've been up to. So stay listening because it's a fabulous interview. But of course, before we get into that, I have got a very important question for you two. Karen, bad news. It's on one of my favourite topics, which is toilets. I caught up with an old friend at the weekend, and he was telling me that him and his wife recently stayed at an Airbnb that had a toilet that flushed hot water. What is that about? Have you ever heard of that?
I can't say I have, but it fills me with horror.
To be honest, that was their reaction too. And I did ask them, was this one of these fancy Japanese toilets? And they said, nope, it wasn't. It wasn't, one of these things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Tom, have you heard of it?
No, and it makes me very uneasy. I think some things shouldn't be, and that's one of them.
Yeah, they said they got quite a nasty surprise the first time they went on it.
Sure, it wasn't a B-day.
Well, that would be quite funny if they have they've just been using a B-day thinking it's loo. Possibly, I'll get back to them on that. So maybe this could run and run. But yeah, I'd never heard that. But they said they got quite a surprise the first time they used it. So there you go. But that's like the opposite of our messages. It's wasting water and energy.
It's a nightmare for Waterfall.
Absolutely is, isn't it? I mean, we need to have a word with the manufacturers of this kind of madness. I mean, it did cross my mind that this could have just been a misplumbing, failure.
Most likely.
So there you go. Every day's a school day.
It is.
So if people out there listening, if you guys have any thoughts on what on earth this could be, please get in touch with the show. You can get in touch with us via email.
You can indeed by using podcast@ccwater.org.uk.
And we do love hearing from you.
Mm-hmm.
Tony V, we've not heard from you in a while, so please do get in touch.
Hope you're okay, Tony.
Yeah, please do check in. But look, we've got a really, really rampacked show for the brilliant stuff. So I think it's just time to bring on the guests.
What would you like Waterfall to cover next? Send your water-saving topics to podcast@ccwater.org.uk.
So it's great to welcome Pete O'Hanlon and Annie Lamb to Waterfall. Hi, Pete. Hi, Annie.
Hi, guys. How are we doing?
We're all
Hi,
good.
Meg.
We're super excited to have you guys on. So, Pete, you head up the vulnerability work at Dŵr Cymru, and Annie, you're the water efficiency lead. Is that right?
Just about right, yeah. Sounds good.
About right.
Yeah.
We'll settle for that.
Yeah, there's lots of people working on water efficiency, so I can't take all the credit for that. But yeah, our team look after the Leak and Do programme and the water efficiency home audits.
So already we could just go on a massive subtopic of leaky loos for the next 30 minutes. So Karen, do you want to get this off your chest now? Ask any leaky loo questions, or shall we dive into what we actually want to talk about?
Well, I'm sure it'll come up. Inevitably, leaky loos come up during the course of our conversations.
Annie, do you have strong opinions on the big flush, small flush button?
Yeah, well, I could talk all day about leak and do's. I think that could be another podcast because, it's very surprising how much water they actually lose and how much people don't perceive them as a leak. You've got to try and sort of explain to customers that, yeah, actually your toilet constantly filling is a leak and you can be paying for that water. And they can leak hundreds of litres an hour. So there's lots going on. And lots of people still don't know what the difference is with the buttons as well. So lots of education to do around that.
You might want to start with me on that because I'll be honest, I don't know which one's which.
I
actually took the cistern off because I wasn't sure which one. And it turned out that the levers actually hit the same. They didn't actually make any difference which one was which. So actually, Annie, I might ask you to come round.
Pete, you're being scammed by your flush. I'd have a word with whoever fitted your bathroom. Right, so this is the earliest we've gone on to a big sidebar, and I know I started this, so I apologise to everyone, but you can't beat a good big flush, small flush button debate. So we just wanted to talk to you about your vulnerable customers team.
Just tell us a bit about that. Like, how long have you been doing it? Why are you doing it? What's that all about? What's that even mean?
Thanks, Mike. So I think this goes back a few years ago, actually, before I came into this role. And if you kind of look at the broader kind of spectrum, if you look at Wales, there's, relatively high levels of deprivation. If you look at things like unemployment metrics, generally speaking, Wales trends above some of the other areas of the UK. And what we identified in Welsh Water was actually we probably needed a bit more specialism to help these customers better and kind of ensure that they're getting the support that they needed. So it started really small. There were 4 or 5 people in what we call the specialist support team. So they got extra training and were able to signpost customers out to different places. So the one thing we find very frequently is that customers don't just have one problem, they have many challenges that they're facing at the same time. So having a team that is able to empathise with them and then give them some practical support is really helpful. So that's grown over the last couple of years. We've now got 20 agents. And we've got 3 in our outreach team that go into the community because, when you're being honest, it takes someone being really brave to pick the phone up and speak to their water provider or energy provider or anywhere else. So we know we need to kind of, take different approaches to help everyone. And it's had some really good results. So what we see is on average, we get a customer satisfaction score of 9.1 across our contact centre. Well, specialist support team, that's 9.6, and that kind of reflects the additional kind of, knowledge and, we have really low attrition in that team. Honestly, you've never met a more engaged team than those guys, and they have some really, really nice results. And, Annie will say, she works with a lot of the team in the patch as well. But yeah, we're really proud of what they do.
And what sort of support are you able to offer?
There's a number of things. So we have our priority services register, like all water companies provide. So that will depend on what the customer needs. So it might be additional format bills if they're kind of hard of sight. Obviously, they get enhanced support doing incidents, for example. But then there may be financial. So we've got our social tariffs, and we've last year launched our Cymuned fund, which is for working households. So if you look at some research from the Citizens Advice, they're seeing big increases in the number of people that they're seeing at the moment, and quite often they're in what they call negative budgets, but these people are working. So in Wales, what we're seeing is there's 50,000 people earning now compared to pre-pandemic, so on the payroll, but actually they're struggling to find make ends meet, really. So our Cymuned fund is there to support those customers because they won't normally be eligible for some of the other support. So yeah, there's loads of things there. And then we signpost out to other organisations, basically. So like things like Mind for mental health, and step change for debt support and things like that.
And I can certainly attest to Pete's team. They really care about customers, and we found it really easy to work closely with them. We've had training sessions to be able to upskill our plumbers that go out to people's homes and recognise these vulnerabilities and be able to talk about tariffs and give a bit of confidence into our offerings and what can be done to support. We think that personal touch is so important, particularly in this day and age, particularly with the cost of living as well. Lots of people, like Pete touched upon, they don't want to reach out, or they might not be able to because of things that they've got on. They might be feeling too proud to ask for help. And being able to go out to customers' properties because they might have a leak in loo or want to save money on their water bills gives us an opportunity for those organic connections. So we want our plumbers to go in and be able to recognise vulnerabilities or signpost them to the right team, talk to them about tariffs. Or, you might have Doris who's, on standing charges and paying a lot of money for water when perhaps she's very water efficient and could benefit from a meter. So it's about that one-stop shop, not just ticking a box. What kind of legacy can we leave to support those customers and just make it more personable?
How many people do you help a year then in the team overall?
So in the Cartref team, we did about 4,000 appointments last year. So, again, we might be going out to fix a leaking toilet, but when we're there, we're able to also do the water efficiency and have conversations. We fit free water efficiency products. And going into sort of the next year and the coming AMP, we're looking at how we can educate customers a bit more about that connection with saving water and saving energy. because, water still is one of the cheapest utilities in, compared to gas and electric. So sometimes having a conversation about how much water they can save isn't incentivizing enough from a monetary point of view. But being able to link them with energy as well. So we're working on being able to sort of tell customers how much they could save through energy savings through the water savings, if that makes sense. Being able to reduce the gas that they're using to heat that water. So, we're looking to better connect to our customers. We're in a new space now, and we need to sort of think, how can we engage with customers in a different way? Telling someone to turn the tap off when they're brushing their teeth is all well and good, but everyone knows that's the stance. If they're not doing it now, telling them again is not going to make them do it. You were looking at new schemes. A water demand coordinator in our team has been working with Design to Smile. Now, they're a charity that go out and help educate children about brushing their teeth. Now, it goes hand in hand to have that message then, where we're educating them at a young age, where they're getting provided with a free toothbrush and toothpaste. Well, actually, dentists recommend you dry brush. So doesn't it make sense for us to work with these charities that are recommending we dry brush? So we've done a toothy timer. We're sending out some comms with them and joining up. And that joining up and that collaboration is so important. Perhaps trying a different approach is what we need to do. Perhaps it's not turning the water off when you're washing your face because it saves you energy, but maybe it's about skincare and different angles that we haven't really explored in the past. We've just got to try different things, I think.
So that's designed to Smile, did you say, is the name of their charity?
Yeah, so they work in Wales and they work alongside Welsh Government, and they target particularly deprived areas. So they work across the whole of Wales, but particularly deprived areas where perhaps they haven't got as many children registered with dentists, things like that. They go into schools, they go into nurseries, and that education piece is really important, isn't it? So any opportunities, we have to try and sort of just take that joined up message approach.
So dentists recommend dry brushing. This is news to me.
Yeah, so actually, when you're brushing your teeth and you've worked hard to put that toothpaste all around your mouth, cleaning germs away and food and things, well, to rinse it afterwards, you're just washing away all that hard work and the fluoride that's supposed to be protecting your teeth. So you shouldn't actually be rinsing, perhaps in the before you put the toothpaste on to rinse it for hygiene, that's fine. But actually, when you're brushing your teeth, you don't need to be rinsing it in between or at the end, or swilling your mouth with water either.
Well, that is news to me. This is great. You see, this is why we do Waterfall, right? This is Karen, did you know this?
I did actually.
Did you?
We're obviously just not talking to each other.
Well, now next you'll be telling us that dry showers are the way to go. Just stand there.
Actually, we have been working with another company as well. So we really are pushing this innovation and trying different things, called Nilaqua, and they are based in Wales. They've got a HQ in Clydach in Swansea, where one of our offices are, and they're working on waterless products. So these are really fantastic products. They're great for your skin. There's not harsh chemicals in them. And, when you think about the products they've got body washes that, foam up and you don't involve any water. They've got hair wraps that you can put on your hair and wash them. So they're not like dry shampoo where it's like a temporary measure. It's actually cleaning the hair. So you put it on, you'd wash it with this cap, and then you just dry it as normal, whether that's hair dry or towel dry. But a lot of people think, that's great for camping. But let's think about, vulnerable customers who, perhaps are bedbound or, carers using these products. They're a fantastic opportunity to look at mutual benefits of, yes, reducing water. Do we need to use, do we need to have a shower to wash our hair if we've got these caps, and they are very, they do care about using the right ingredients. They're not harsh. You can use them on children. And they do fantastic work. They've started having contracts with the NHS as well, because, they can recognise the opportunities there. And what about supply interruptions? What do customers need? We give them bottled water sometimes when there's supply interruptions, but actually maybe what they need is to wash their hands or to wash their body. And these waterless products, they're not, like I said, with antibacterial or they're not sort of a temporary measure. They are a replacement for that water use. some of the HSC products that they have, it's not just cleaning it there and then. They can protect your hands for several hours afterwards against things like the norovirus and, COVID and things like that. So they're a fantastic product, and it's just why can't we explore more of these things and these opportunities? I think that's where we're at now.
Sounds amazing. Can you put us in touch with them so we can get some? I know Karen's really interested in there. I know me and Pete were looking a bit shocked at the whole kind of when you're washing your hair, dry shampoo. What? I mean, I try and avoid just washing in general.
I do love a product.
Whereas Karen looked interested. Karen was like, tell me more.
CCW, passionate about championing the best interests of everyone who uses water, now and in the future.
I'm interested in when people come to reach out to you, through your your vulnerability work, and you've got your vulnerability team. How obvious is it that actually water efficiency products or water efficiency help might be a thing that works for them? Or, I mean, how hard do you have to dig for that and make that link?
It can really depend, can't it? Because I think, as we mentioned earlier, I think quite often there's multiple things at play. But like a good example, we had quite recently where we went to a customer's property on an affordability issue, and it turned out they had an internal leak and they'd actually basically capped their own supply. So actually, there's a massive issue there, but that we weren't aware of. So, in that instance, obviously we kind of help the customer out and put things right. But I think affordability does come into play here, because obviously, we offer a lot of free services, but the awareness of those is still relatively low, isn't it? So actually, how ensuring that we increase the awareness of that is really important, and that's where the community work comes in, because and that's kind of the personal worry with kind of some of the noise around the sector, is that if that impacts trust, then are people going to believe that we're actually trying to help them to either lower their bills or reduce their water use? So yeah, but quite often, or in the majority of cases, if we're helping for one thing, then we can probably help with another. But on the kind of the vulnerability side, they're probably more likely to benefit from whether it's the aerated taps or the shower heads and things, because I'm fortunate. I live in a new build. All of those things were kind of there when I started, but if I go to where I grew up, that none of those things were there, and it's not really one of the things that you think about in terms of saving money or saving water. So it's kind of the onus is on us to kind of bring that to the play.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right there, Pete. Every property is different, every customer is different. So it's about tailoring it, and having, the team that we have that goes out to these properties, we're able to do that in a more organic way. So they don't have a checklist of, questions they ask. If they go to a flat, they're not going to start talking about saving water through, not using the hose pipe and using a watering can. It's not relevant. So it's about tailoring those approaches. Sometimes water efficiency is very easy because we recently had an elderly lady who had a leaking tap, and it was a hot water tap in the bath that was running all day, 24 hours a day. It was running, and she was using obviously all that water, but also heating that water, and she was stuck in a catch-22 where she didn't have money to bring a plumber out, but then she's spending all this money on her heating. So we're able to help lots of people, and when we're there, we can signpost into Peter's team then, because we can see, through those conversations, we know there needs further support, there needs further assistance. And working with the Pete's team has been, such, it just goes hand in hand. It just works together so well, because we can see those people face to face. Sometimes over the phone, you can't recognize when someone's struggling. We can all put a front on, but when you're face to face with someone, often they will open up and be quite open and share with what they're going through.
Well, it sounds like a much better experience for the customer as well, having that personal contact. You've mentioned a couple of examples of the sorts of issues you're finding when you do your audits. I mean, are there any other sort of common things? And I've got a feeling this is where the leaky loos comes in back into the conversation.
Yeah, I could go on. We could fill a few podcasts with the different things we come across. There was a customer recently who was blind. They had a leak on their toilet. They didn't actually know what was leaking and what was going on, and not able to repair it. We've got to liaise with their members of their family who maybe live away, and trying to sort of let them be in the loop and connected, but also liaising with other people. It can be quite challenging to make sure that person is there and safe, and letting them know that we are trusted. There's lots of scams going on. We had a plumber last week who was at the property, and while he was there fixing the leak, he could hear the customer was being asked to give personal details, and they were quite flustered. And he said, are you okay? Do you need any help? And he said, oh, I've been asked to log on onto my laptop with my credentials and things. He said, would you like me to talk to them? And he said yes, and passed the phone over. The plumber asked, where you're calling from, can you identify yourself? And they hang up. And this person has been a victim of a scamming before. So, to be able to be in those homes, being, empowered to have these conversations, to be trusted, we've got password protection schemes to be able to reiterate that we are, from a reputable company, we are here to help. We don't charge you. You're not going to be blindsided with a bill or anything. This is a free service, and it's for all our domestic customers, but with particular sort of hope that those people that are most in need will connect with us.
Just on that, I think the important thing is that we really care. So, and it kind of, you're probably expecting to say this, but obviously as a not-for-profit company, we the money isn't going off to shareholders, and it's being reinvested back, and a lot of that goes into the social tariffs in my team, which is really, really good. But taking that aside, we all live in our area, and we work in our area, and everyone will know someone who works for Welsh Water. So when we are kind of visiting people, I think that's why we are trusted, is because we are them. We are part of the community, and we grew. I grew up 2 miles from our old head office in Nelson. I must be honest, I never knew it was there. To be honest, it's like hidden away. when I went there for the first time, I was like, oh, I never knew this was here. But like it's just nice that we're like an anchor kind of company in our area, and it does provide a lot of employment. But we'll all know people who would be eligible for either the social tower support or benefit from the work that Annie and her team does in terms of the water efficiency as well. One thing, if you don't mind me adding in, that I wanted to mention was some of the behavioural science stuff that we're looking at as well. And we did some work last year in the Newport area, and I just thought it was really interesting because it just goes to show how little things make a big impact. So we basically had these water saving leaflets created, and they were and they had like little nudge things in there, like comparing to like local areas and things like that, and it had like league tables around it. And there's like kind of little gamifications and kind of cartoonish figures and things, and even that alone showed a 25% reduction in water use for over the time period. So there's lots of, Annie's talked about a few already. I think there's lots of opportunity in this area from a water efficiency perspective. And so there's just a few other things that we're thinking of in terms of how we can kind of up the ante on some of this stuff.
I mean, that was one of the things we were wanting to ask you, because obviously we are talking about vulnerable customers in the first instance and how you're helping them in all sorts of ways, and water efficiency can be one of them. But if you were just a Dura Cymru customer and saying, actually, I could do with some water efficiency help, what would you recommend that they do?
Oh gosh, our water efficiency offering is available to all our customers. So we've got the Get Water Fit campaign that we run. That's via Save Water, Save Money. So that's a platform that any of our customers can go on. They fill out some questions about their home, and we send out free water efficiency products that are tailored to them. And it's really it's quite straightforward. We try and make it as user-friendly as possible, but I think it's really important that we have those questions so we're able to send them the right product. So, for example, our water efficiency shower heads are fantastic if you've got a mains fed shower, but actually they're not suitable for electric showers because most of them are probably already aerated and would impact on the customer experience then. Whereas we know, if you've got a mains fed shower, you can use this shower head, you can reduce your water consumption, but it's not going to impact on that experience. So we want to make sure that it is tailored, it is relevant. And we've also got water demand coordinators now in each area. So we've got one in Southwest, one in Southeast, and one in North. And they are going to be out and about working in the community to sort of raise awareness that this is open to everyone and that we all can be water efficient. We can all be mindful of our water use and engage with different communities, different hubs. Peter and I were talking about, we're in a different world now and we need to tailor how we communicate with our customers. Some customers, are still in digital poverty. They're still not able to, go on web chat. And perhaps even if they did, wouldn't want to. And we have to have that tailored approach where we can go to, coffee mornings or we can be in the community. Food banks is a great one now to reach customers who perhaps need that support. So yeah, we're trying to think of different ways to get out there and get that message across, really.
I mean, surely you don't send them shower heads now. You just send them a magic bag with special shampoo that you just give a quick rub and they're done, right?
Well, we might get to that place.
That's the future, right?
That's it. So, in 12 months' time, our products probably will look different and hopefully they look different from 12 months ago because, I remember when I started in Roll, there was products that, the Saver flush bags, for example. Yeah, they're a brilliant product. They save 1.2 litres every time you flush. And there's no behavioural change, right? I think they're a brilliant product. But how many cisterns can we actually put them in now? They're suitable for the older, larger cisterns when we had, 12-litre capacity cisterns. Unfortunately, fortunately now we've got dual flush cisterns and you're looking at 4 to 6 litres, every time you flush, which is brilliant. But what does that mean for us when it comes to, the toilets? What does it mean to us when it means, what products we look at next? So we started ordering, they work like aerators, but for showers. So, you might have someone who's got, a big shower head, it's aesthetically pleasing in the room, and they perhaps don't want the shower head that we can provide, but they might still want to be water efficient. So you can get adapters that you put in now at sort of the base. So you don't see them, but they'll still do the same thing. They'll still aerate that water and allow you to use less water in the shower. So, we've got to just keep evolving, haven't we?
So one of the things that I've heard about, and I don't know any details about, so, give me the simple noddy answer, please, is this the water resilient communities projects that you have going on? Because I hear a bit about them, but they sound great, but I don't really know what's behind them. So can you bring this to life for us?
Yeah, no worries. So, these are, I guess, the reason for these is we want to make a lasting difference to the communities we serve. So, but what we want to do is rather than kind of make an intervention, come out, go somewhere else, make a small change, we wanted to spend a consistent time in an area. So generally 12 months and kind of throw everything Welsh Water has to offer at it, and then partner with as many people as we can to make a lasting difference. So what we'll do then is we'll take our vulnerability support there, we'll take our debt support, Annie will take her team, and then we'll do things like helping people with apprenticeships and jobs. We'll look at the kind of the blockage side of things, and then we'll look at education then as well around our school children. So we've done about 5 of those already. So the latest one was in Newport. That was over the last 12 months, and that was a really big success actually. So because it takes time to build those connections through the area. So Jodie and Tracy in my team have spent a lot of time kind of picking up those connections, the likes of kind of Newport City Homes and others, and with that kind of culminated in an event that we ran over half term, where essentially we aimed at the kids because what do people want to do in half term? They want a free activity to keep the kids quiet for an
Oh
afternoon.
yeah, too right. You want someone to take your kids off your house.
Exactly, yeah. And then what we did is we brought 37 other companies in with us. So we all had our Welsh Water stands. And then we had, the likes of Ovo Energy, we had like Alzheimer's UK, we had all these different other areas. So the kids came in, had a load of fun, played with Lego, had some hot dogs, that kind of stuff. And then the adults were then kind of like wandering around the stands and kind of basically were able to get some tangible kind of support. So, and that's the kind of thing where we can help people that we wouldn't normally reach elsewhere. But yeah, Annie, do you want to talk through what you guys were doing in that area as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just important, isn't it, to sometimes saturate an area and build that trust, particularly the areas that have been chosen. They are areas that we've perhaps struggled to connect with in the past, or perhaps have, high rates of deprivation, different things like that. So, working with those communities is really rewarding. We've gone out to different appointments, and they've said, it was only because we were working in that area that they'd booked it, because otherwise they would have been very skeptical. But, you're building trust at a sort of a large scale. And it just meant that we were able to sort of have a lot of appointments, engage with a lot of customers, and make a bigger impact then. Yeah.
So where's next?
Well, but actually we're going into Cardigan and Bangor next. So West Wales is a big area priority for us in terms of obviously water supply, efficiency, and supporting that community, and then North Wales as well. And we always need to make sure we're covering North Wales with Bangor, and we've done one in Rhyl in the past as well. But just quickly, it always makes me laugh because last time we went into Newport, we'd had our stand and we had a few others with us, and one of the councillors came over, so I was having a chat with him, and it's the best thing you ever do, because the council knows everyone, don't they? So I was chatting to him. He's like, "Oh, that guy over there," and he was giving me all the gossip about him. He was like, "Oh, don't speak to him over there," or she's all right, go and speak to her. And it's really funny when you get out there and you hear like the local gossip in the community.
So not only have you got a more water efficient community, you got vulnerable customers who are being helped in all sorts of ways, you get to know all the gossip of what's going on in
that's
Newport.
What we do, really.
I'm guessing you can't share the funniest stories.
No, I can't say what he said, but yeah, it was pretty juicy.
No, that sounds brilliant. It sounds like a really good initiative. And I've been trying to plot all these places. Is it like places you guys all want to go on holiday? Bangor, Tenby next? Where is it? Barafundle Bay?
Unfortunately, no. We should have done it that way, shouldn't we? But no. We tend to look for areas of being serious. We tend to look for areas where they are more deprived, so we can make a more tangible impact. So yeah, that's why we focus in those areas. But yeah, if I thought about it, I probably should have gone for Tenby and Barafundle Bay.
Sounds like a fantastic initiative, actually. And I think, as you say, that presence in the community, talking to people, just building relationships is a great way to build trust. And we've said this many a time on Waterfall that, if you want people to change their behaviours and what they will do, they're much more likely to do it if they think highly of you as a company. So that is so vital. We're running out of time, and we do have important questions that Karen usually throws at you.
Yes, I'm afraid I'm always the one that's landed with this, but we're really interested in understanding sort of how people who we talk to compare in their own personal water use. And, a bit of a case of are you practicing what you preach?
Oh, you're putting them under pressure now, Karen, right? Our own league table.
Well, this is it. So we're just interested to know, do you know what your own water usage is, on a sort of litres per person per day basis?
Yeah, so obviously we've got a water calculator. So I've spent many sunny afternoons at places like the Royal Welsh and the Eisteddfod talking to hundreds of customers and going through the water fit calculator. So I know it like the back of my hand. So yeah, so I think I come out about 109. So I've got a little boy with a feeding tube. So he uses a little bit more water for that. But I'm fortunate that I live in a new build. So we've got all the water saving devices on that as well. So yeah, probably can always do a little bit better, but not too bad.
No, absolutely. And what about you, Annie?
Our household uses about 90 litres a day. That's because I'm policing the household, so there are 4 of us here. But I had to use the water safe calculator as well, because I'm on I don't have a meter. I'm on an old joint supply, which is quite common in the valleys, where the houses were built, and they're all sort of connected up. So I don't have a meter, but I do try and just be very mindful. Use watering can and things like that. And you've got to practice what you preach, haven't you? You can't be expecting people to be water efficient. So, while I think 90 is below average, I think that's probably still too high for what it should be. And especially when I'm policing the kids with their dry brushing and things. So, yeah, some work to do still.
Well, as I say, I think that does sound good for a family of 4.
Yeah. The kids are still young enough to share a bath, so we'd only fill it halfway and we just put them both in. So.
You'll be relieved to hear that so far in Series 4 of Waterfall, we've had at least a couple of pretty high scores. So you're not propping up the league table, so don't worry. So look, we're out of time. Unfortunately, it's been really great to speak to you, Pete, and to you, Annie. It's been what's come across actually just your real kind of enthusiasm and passion, not just for the topics. I mean, obviously, Annie, I know you're fixated with leaky loos, and that's completely understandable. You and Karen can maybe form a little self-help group and get Andrew Tucker from Thames along. But your passion for your topic is really coming through, and actually how you care, both of you caring for the customers that you serve is really come through in the way you're presenting yourself and the work of your company. So thank you so much for coming on.
Brilliant. Thanks for having us.
No worries.
This podcast is brought to you by CCW, the voice for water consumers.
So really great to hear from Pete and Annie there. I loved to hear what they were doing in communities in Wales. What do you make of that, Karen?
I mean, I think it's really interesting because what they've managed to do is identify that if customers are on a water meter, they can obviously make savings if they're able to reduce their water use. But in addition to that, if they're reducing the amount of hot water they're using, they're obviously helping with their budgeting by reducing their energy bills as well. So it's a really sort of good way of approaching it because, all of us are looking for ways to keep our costs down.
Yeah, absolutely, and it all adds up. And with many people struggling, and you hear lots of stories about people on negative budgets these days, that actually, every little bit does count, and it can all add up. Particularly, as you say, when you add the water savings and the energy savings together. No, really fascinating to hear what they're doing. I also just like the fact that they were getting out there into communities, because I think it's really important that water companies connect with the people that they serve, because we know from our research that we do at CCW that people's motivation for saving water and for not misusing sewers, chucking the wrong things down your sink or down your toilet, your motivation for doing that is connected to what you think of your company. So if you think highly of your company, you are more likely to do your bit in terms of saving water and not abusing sewers. So really good stuff that they're doing in the community. But that's it. That's really all we've got time for. I mean, don't forget, you can get in touch with the show.
Yes, you can email us at podcast@ccwater.org.uk.
Thank you, Karen. And I think it's all that needs to be said now is goodbye from me, Mike.
Goodbye from me, Tom, producer Tom.
And goodbye from me, Karen.